Surely there's a line for that, but I'll leave it alone. It is 1 o'clock, the appointed hour, and I will call to order the October 26th meeting of the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority. The item 2 is items from the chairman. First, I'd like to welcome our newest trustee, the surrogate trustee for the mayor, Erica Herrera. Welcome, Erica. We're happy to have you. Welcome aboard. Second is just a quick comment on the news we all saw about the development around the First American Museum. That's exciting stuff down on the river, and we'll greatly compliment everything that we've been doing for years down there. So it's an exciting project, and I look forward to seeing that come in. Item 3 is the minutes from the August 31st meeting. Do we have any changes or corrections on the minutes? Been moved and seconded. Cast your vote.
I'm not logged in yet, but I will vote yes.
Oh, okay. You got her entered already? Okay, and that passes. Item 4 is the consent docket. We have the oil and gas revenue report and the Oklahoma River corridor events update. Do we have any questions or comments on either one of those?
It's a nice number from what we've had.
I don't know whether it's good or bad that it'll keep going up probably for a while. Yeah. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. And that passes. Item 5 is the primary agenda items. Item A is the Oklahoma River Maintenance Projects update.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Shumway, Public Works. Our projects update for October 26 are as follows. Our contractor continues to remove sediment from a multi-year dredging contract. We anticipate him to be completed around mid-December. The newest dredging contract, we will put on hold and use it on an as-needed basis. Public Works has also received one bid for the purchase of a floating dredge, and that is in the process of getting acquired.
Before you leave that one, is the purpose to have the dredge do everything from now on, or will we still do a contract each year for certain parts of the river?
The idea is that we would take and do the dredging in-house, and then on an as-needed basis, if we could use a contractor to provide additional support. Our river SCADA system has been ongoing with multiple repairs of sensors and SCADA upgrades or software upgrades. Our river hydraulic repairs, we've now completed all the cylinders for the Brum Dam and 2 of the 6 for Eastern, and we're starting to cycle refurbishments for our inventory, our stock inventory for the main Brum Dams. Our river maintenance crews have removed 21 and 38 tons over the last 2 months. And the Army Corps of Engineers completed their annual inspection. Their report was received by Public Works, and we will be addressing those deficiencies by late this spring. Are there any questions?
Any questions on the report?
Thank you.
Need a motion to accept? We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. And that passes. Item B is the Oklahoma City Community Foundation Endowment Fund Report for fiscal year ending June 30, 2001. Good afternoon, welcome.
Can you all hear me all right with the mask? I tend to be a low talker, I apologize. Just wanted to give you a report. The report that I gave to David was accurate data, but unfortunately it fell a little bit short. The distribution that will be this year will actually give you a little bit more than that. The distribution amount for this year will be $58,103. To acquaint some of you to the endowment, if you're new here, the endowment was formed in 2005, and it became a permanent part of the Oklahoma City Community Foundation's permanent endowment. So that's a large group of funds, about 378, that we invest in one big pool, and we try to grow that as much as possible to create even greater value for you. Each year we'll calculate what 5% of that endowment is. We average that over 12 quarters to try to even up the ups and downs that we've become rather accustomed to. And then we grant that out to you each year. And you've received that several years in a row. Your endowment has a particular process that we go through. There is a committee of 3 people that meet. They are a representative of the Community Foundation, a representative named by the mayor, and a representative of the board here, who come up with some great ideas that could become funding possibilities with that money, and then the committee approves those and the money goes out. So in that way, we continue to support, and I hope we'll continue to grow that fund for you as well. The fund does continue to receive gifts into it every year, and those are indicated in the report as well. Are there any questions about the endowment? All right. Well, with that, I will leave you. Thank you so much.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I will say that at the meeting that she mentioned will be coming soon. So the ordinance that set up the endowment many, many years ago required that if we ever took money out of it, which we've been doing the last few years, that there had to be a meeting every year to discuss what the money was going to be spent on. And it could not be spent on things that the city was already, it couldn't replace yearly items that were being done by the city anyway. It had to be new projects to enhance the river. We created a list of items that, it's a long list from Prairie Park to Crystal Lake, some other things that could be improvements on. We have not spent any of the money since we've been drawing it, and that has gotten up to quite a little bit of money right now. At the meeting this year, my intent is to let the foundation know that we're probably at the point where we need to decide which one of those projects in there really is getting to the point it needs to be done, whether it be handicap improvements or further amenities in the park or something, and put that in front of Kathy's committee, the River Use Committee, and determine how we spend that money. And that's kind of where we're going to go from here. So, any questions on that? Okay, we have a motion and a second. If you cast your vote, please. And that item passes. Item C is an update on the Riversport Foundation's River Protectors Volunteer River Cleanup Program. Trustee Hammond asked for this a couple of months ago when was mentioned on one of the reports, and so I think Mike has a full-blown report on how the program works. Mike?
Sure. Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's Mike Canop, Executive Director of the Riversport Foundation. Well, of course, we've been working with developing the Boathouse District for over 15 years, I guess about 20 years now. And through that time, I've become keenly aware of the issues surrounding trash in our river and kind of all of the dynamics that go into that. And I think I get a lot of comments, and I've got them through the years about, gosh, what's the problem? Why is there so much trash there? And it really depends. I mean, it's all due to wind. It's due to our tributaries and the trash coming in. And I think a lot of it has to do with education and making sure people are aware of when a bottle gets thrown out, it ends up in the river. And Public Works has done a great job with kind of enhancing our ability to pick up and collect trash. We've done a number of cleanups through the years, and it can be somewhat, to be honest, a little bit frustrating at times when you go through the effort and you bring out people and they spend several hours cleaning up only to see the next day with the wind changing and a rain, it completely coming back to where it was before. So that over time has caused us to, it really motivated us to, we have to figure out a way long-term we can protect this river better and really be stewards of, taking advantage of the fact that we're building an outdoor culture in Oklahoma City collectively with all of the amenities that are being added through our trails, through their investments in the river, and through what I've seen is just more people being outside and enjoying being outside in Oklahoma City, which has not always been the case, and having a more appreciation for protecting our environment. So I put together this presentation. It's a little dated. We actually put this together in August, and we were coming right up onto the Super Cup, and the Super Cup was the international event we hosted on the river. And that's another reason when we bring people in from all over the world, we want to put our best foot forward and make sure that there's not some perception that we don't take care of our environment and our riverfront. So we put a lot of effort into preparing the river for the Super Cup, but even before that, we had put together the infrastructure to create the programmatic infrastructure to create what we call the Riversport River Protectors. And David, if you want to go to the next slide. So this has really been in a wonderful partnership with OKC Beautiful. We've been working with them for some time on a variety of initiatives, but as I stated here, Riversport River Protectors is a way to bring our community together as good stewards of our Oklahoma River and waterways. So bringing people out to the river in large numbers to engage in these cleanups creates a sense of ownership for our river, and how can we take care of it, and how do we educate the public and educate our youth. Our Thrive Outside initiative that we've talked about before, a big part of that is how do we take care of our environment. And so as kids are growing up now in Oklahoma City, hopefully they're becoming more aware of how their actions really can impact how we care our environment. And of course, part of it is not just the cleanups themselves, which is important to do, but it's also how do we get on top of it and figure out, okay, what is the source of all this? How do we slow it down? Which is why we've taken a little bit more of a scientific approach to this. So go ahead and go to the next slide, David. So Brent Allen, who's sitting right here, and he'll come up here and share a couple thoughts too. I hired Brent a couple of years ago as our Riversport Lifestyle Director, and it's to help us as we kind of continue to advance our efforts to bolster and build outdoor lifestyle culture here in Oklahoma City. But again, a big part of this is how do we protect our environment? And Brent brought to the table this idea of using a program called Literati. It's an app on your phone, and we can actually catalog what we're removing from the river and really get down to the source of what all this is. And it's not a big surprise. A lot of it is single-use plastics. And so it's, again, how do we start to take a more proactive approach where you can't change this overnight, but we can make a dedicated effort over time to make some real impact. So go ahead and go to the next slide. Brent, do you want to talk real quick about the process and the application itself?
Hello, thanks for having us here today. Thank you, JoBeth. I brought JoBeth out last year to kind of do a drive along to see what we were dealing with, and I was very fortunate to grow up here. We left for 28 years and moved back from Carmel by the Sea, California, and I was lucky to get a lot of education and training actually doing this type of work, but in our country's largest national marine sanctuary, the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary, because everybody's dealing with the same issues. How much plastic, styrofoam are polluting our waterways, our most valuable resource. And so, fortunately, I met the gentleman that created this app back in 2015, and cities and places all around the world are using this app to be able to distinguish the specific types of trash that are aggregating throughout a city. And then to be able to, for example, in the tobacco industry in San Francisco, after cleaning up cigarette butts and using this app, which basically takes a photo, it creates information that you can tag exactly what it is, so as a legal document, it goes into a database. And so we've been doing that here since last year. And just so you know, in total, I think we have probably tagged and removed 100,000 pieces of primarily single-use plastic and styrofoam from our waterways. The tough thing is that some of these things, which we see in our parks and where people pull up to Lake Hefner, our reservoir, people smoking, leaving their cigarette butts on the ground in the hundreds. And where do you think those toxic cigarette butts go and are going? And so this app actually defines things to the nth degree. Everything you tag, we can see, if we can see what it is, the brand, what the product is, and it puts little dots. And so if you look at the map that we've already got for Oklahoma County when we created our challenge this year, it basically is everywhere. People on their own merit have used this app to clean up their neighborhoods, to clean up their parks, and tag and mark all this stuff. And so organically, it's happening. Our community has stepped up, and it is everybody. It's business owners, it's restaurateurs, it's kids groups. It is a very balanced part of our fabric as a community, taking ownership and trying to change and leave things better than we found them. And I'm so grateful to Mike, because I met Mike back in 2008, and I've been in the outdoor sports industry for 24 years. And when I came to him and I said, Mike, we gotta do something about this river. This is just so not okay. I'll tell you the other thing that was the hinge point, but I was not surprised. I got up early one morning to go out with our head coach for rowing, our Olympic training site. And it's dark. And I looked down to the dock, and here are our Olympic hopefuls from all over the United States here to train in our city, and they are literally pushing trash out of the way with their oars to set their boats in the water. And I was already committed to this, but when I saw that, I was like, this can't be okay. This can't be okay with any of us. Everybody being adult, and I always just think, what are we leaving behind? And this is only getting worse. And so picking up trash and doing cleanups is good for a moment, like Mike said, but that doesn't work anymore. If we're not collecting accurate data for us to be able to use as a community, a city, to be able to start targeting things we have to change. When the city of Oklahoma City agreed to their first sustainability plan last summer, this is right on target. This is all these things we have to do to change our city, as it is in accelerated growth like we've never seen, ever. I mean, 25th largest city to the 22nd in 2 years, it's gonna be more, and we've gotta get this dialed in. Does anybody have any questions about any of this? Or?
Yeah, well, first of all, any questions for Brent? We have a few more things to show.
You can talk to me after if you like to. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. We have a few photos. Whoa, I've got to stop touching that. Of the cleanups that have been happening very frequently now. In fact, we have with OKC Beautiful, it's almost every week and multiple times a week. So go ahead and go through these slides. And one of the great things about it is, again, seeing the community come together. We were committed to making sure when Oklahoma City was on live television, under the lights, around the world, that the river was people were out every day cleaning up, and sure enough, it did look great, and we did receive great feedback. The next month, we had the big Regatta Festival, teams from all over the country coming, and again, big effort was made to put our best foot forward, and things did look great. But it's been a big volunteer commitment to get to that point, and again, as Brent said, we're looking for how do we over time educate and make some of those changes that need to be made to mitigate some of this. Go ahead, David. And that's part of it's been at Lake Overholser, Lake Hefner, and of course the Oklahoma River. Go ahead. And one of the things that is also what we've done is we have receptacles at each boathouse facility, whether it be Lake Overholser, the Chesapeake Boathouse, and Lake Hefner, where people can just engage themselves and come out and pick up trash. And we have these coffee bags that, again, people can put the trash in and we take care of it. Go. And there's just been a lot of social media about that, and people really, really taking ownership of this initiative. Go ahead. And then community training. Brent has hosted some community training events about this issue, and this was one that we had a couple months, about a month and a half ago. Again, a lot of interest in this. Go ahead. And then I'm just going to close with this. Again, as we're developing the river, again, continuing, of course, we have the First Americans development, very exciting. How do we continue to better protect our river for the future? With all of these events going on, and immediately following the Super Cup, I went to France because in Oklahoma City, we had Olympic officials here reviewing and studying our venue for future events. It was kind of a way to showcase the opportunity that we have here in Oklahoma City, and it was called a homologation. So they asked me to come to France to review and get the report back and say, this is what we think the future could be for you and the Oklahoma River for Oklahoma City. And I was pleased that they were so excited about the experience they had in Oklahoma City. In fact, they indicated right now with our whitewater venue in particular, we have the finest whitewater channel currently in the entire world. And so when you look at that opportunity and layering in the other river event opportunities that will create a global impact, I think it's really powerful. But when I was in France, they were having the World Cup for whitewater along the bank. They had several tents set up that was the French version of river protectors, and it was very far along. And you could see how much they have truly embraced it as a community throughout the city, frankly, everywhere I went in France. So I think the idea of what we're doing now to start, and we have a long way to go, but we wanted to share with you what we're doing, the vision, and obviously, trying to engage as many stakeholders as we can to ensure that this is something that we're going to continue to embrace and ultimately make a change for the good. One last note, when I talk about national global impact, today, as we speak, if you go onto YouTube, Oklahoma City, the Riversport Rapids is the setting of the #1 trending video right now in the entire world on YouTube. Over 3.5 million views in the span of 15 hours, and it's rolling with 17,000 comments. And it's a video that was done by a group called Dude Perfect. If you have kids, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the point is, a lot of attention is coming and continuing to come related to our river and our surroundings. So this is a great time for this. And with that, if there's any questions, we're happy to answer.
Very good. Any questions, comments?
I'll make a few comments. Thank you so much for putting this together and for postponing it so I would be available to watch as well. When I met with Brent last year, I was so impressed with the initiative of especially engaging groups around the city to come volunteer to do this, because I think we all recognize tackling issues like this, or any issue in the community, there's intervention and then there's prevention. And both in the aspect of doing the work of picking up litter, but also in the sort of foresight to catalog it and using this app to see what is, and I think we all can recognize that we live in a very disposable, dependent culture. But engaging people to go down and do that, maybe going to Riversport or doing ropes course is not someone's thing, but maybe they still want to go enjoy the river and they can connect and have that, I think you all were saying, kind of ownership, and maybe that kind of motivates folks to get that reusable water bottle or take their coffee cup to to the coffee shop or whatever to reduce that inflow into the system. Because I think both for the example you all gave of this sort of spotlight being on Oklahoma City and wanting to put a good face forward, I think we also need to recognize, that that styrofoam being, those sonic cups being in the river, if you don't pluck that out of there, it's there. Styrofoam is hundreds of years to, or we're gonna be dredging it out through the city crews, or it's, we're gonna have to be, we're processing it through our utilities, our water system at some point. And I think, I now have this kind of reflection, so much of the pandemic, I think a lot of us learned and were reminded how connected we all are, that like my well-being is bound up with your well-being. And I think this is another example of that, the well-being of our river is, it puts a good face forward. It shows people that we really are treasuring this asset that we have, but it also contributes to the health and well-being of the wildlife, and us individually when we are out on the river, that we're not having to come into contact or eventually have to get all of those contaminants and out of the system and pay for that at that point. So I'm excited to keep watching y'all's efforts, and in particular, I think seeing that data to see how we can tackle that on maybe reducing our reliance on single-use plastics in particular and styrofoam, and I know especially with the last year doing a lot more takeout, every time I'm like, oh, I hate this. So, I think it can help motivate people across the city to be thinking about, okay, how can I maybe, I try to be patrons of places that are using the more cardboard type to-go things or something that's reusable. So hopefully that can help keep spurring that. I just really appreciate y'all doing that work specifically for this area, but to see it kind of be growing and people utilizing it in their own events across the city is exciting to see. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comment? Thanks,
Make
Mike.
one
We
more-
appreciate
one
it.
more. We are going to, we're very pleased that that this initiative has captured the attention of Keep Oklahoma Beautiful. So both OKC Beautiful and Riversport are receiving their Visionary Award for this project in November at the Keep Oklahoma Beautiful banquet. So that'll allow us to really continue to put a spotlight on this effort and hopefully gain some more momentum. So thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. And that passes. Item D is a joint resolution of the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority and the City of Oklahoma City declaring that Oklahoma Waste Disposal, Inc.'s proposed expansion of the Oklahoma landfill located at 7600 Southwest 15th Street is not expected to adversely affect recreation or natural preservation areas within 1/2 mile of the proposed expansion. Staff has studied this and is recommending to pass this. I understand also it's gone to parks and passed already, I believe. So, have any questions on it? Okay, got a motion and a second. Cast your vote. And that passes. I think we had somebody here from waste disposal. Did anybody need to say anything since it passed? I see a head shaking no back there. Okay, that's good. Okay, item E is the first renewal of the lease agreement among the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority, the City of Oklahoma City, and Steve Allen for hay cultivation on near Sooner Road between 23rd and 36th. This is like it says, a first renewal on the lease for that hut there. Have any questions? We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. And it passes. Item F is a revocable permit with the Riversport Foundation for the 2021 Regatta Festival, October 1 and 3. Obviously, this has already happened. I believe the motion will be to receive this. Council's already voted on it. Cast your vote. That passes. Item G is pretty much the same thing. It's an activity and use agreement with the Oklahoma City National Memorial Foundation for the marathon, October 2nd and 3rd, that use public property and rights-of-way, including portions of Wiley Post Park, which is us. So this would be another motion to receive this. It's already happened. Cast your vote.
I vote yes. For some reason, it's not coming up on my screen.
I think Mark. And that passes. Item H is a revocable permit with the Riversport Foundation for the Holiday River Parade, December 4th, 2021, using the Eastern Basin, Regatta Park, and South River Trail. This is the parade that was a long time held and put together by Mike McAuliffe, passed away from COVID. It's a holiday event that everybody looked forward to, a free event down on the river. The Riversport Foundation has taken this on and decided to put this on, and to honor Mike and to keep this going at least for another year. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure Mike would like to keep it going if he could find sponsors for it. But again, this is a permit for that to happen. Mike, you want to make any comments on it?
Real quick. Of course, as Chairman Mars would recollect, this has been going on for since really the earliest of days as we've had our river, since it was brought back to life, so to speak, and it's always been a great event. It's something that we've enjoyed seeing the number of people come down to the river in December every year, and of course there's been a couple-year break, but so we think it's an important event for Oklahoma City and for the river and holiday traditions. So, and of course to honor Mike, who was the the visionary behind that event and was great to work with for so many years. So it was tough to lose Mike, and we think this is a great way to honor his legacy. We are taking it up a little bit, doing a little bit more though with it, and that is we're kind of deeming the whole event, the whole month of December as a new event called the River Glow. This will be a major part of that whole month-long series of events, but it will include, we have a whole new lighting package on the buildings that we debuted, or we started to debut at the Super Cup. So all the lights change, and it really is a beautiful, I think people will be very surprised by that. And then we'll have some other activities along with the skiing. We have some new climbing and skating elements as well that will come into play throughout the whole month, with this being a major part of the celebration of the holidays. So we look forward to it and hope that you all will be able to attend. So,
Mike, thanks for carrying on this tradition. Yeah. I know it means a lot to Mike's family and to his friends, and I hope we can continue to do it in the future. Thank you.
I will tell you as a side note, we had a report earlier from the Community Foundation on our endowment down there. That endowment started and built up over the years with money that Mike McAuliffe made off the river parade and deposited in that. And that was the intent that him and Mayor Norick put together at the time, where that money would go and how it would be built up and further enhance the river in years to come. So we've kind of come a little bit full circle on it, and although tragic as his passing was, it's a great honor for Mike, I think, to hold this again, and we appreciate you doing it.
Sure. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. Well, like it passed up there, it didn't pass on my screen. I keep looking around wondering, is it me? Okay, item I is a proposed Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority 2022 regular meeting schedule. Any questions on that? Need a motion? Motion and a second. Cast your vote. And that passed. Item 6 is the claims docket. Any questions on the claims docket? We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. And that passes. Item 7 is comments by staff. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Melinda McMillan Miller, Parks and Recreation Director now. I can say that officially, so thank you. We just wanted to welcome again Ms. Herrera. We're very much looking forward to working with you and look forward to helping you acclimate to the new role and give you as much information as possible to help you feel caught up. And we look forward to working with you for the rest of the year. Is there any questions on the items within the report? All right, if not, I would recommend it for acceptance.
Okay. Any questions on the report? All right.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. That passes. Any comments by trustees? Any citizens wishing to be heard? I'll say once again, welcome to Erica.